Call this meeting to order. We stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. All right, so I need an approval of the agenda for tonight.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Any discussion on it or changes? All right, all in favor? Yes, so Sarah and Gray, if you could just use your little hand thingy, because I'm blind and I can't see, just when we do that for, perfect, so that way I can see.
That means aye, okay.
Yes,
Yep.
thank you.
Got it.
There you go.
Perfect. Just makes it a little bit easier for me.
You do need to put that down when you're done, though.
Yes, please, or I'll call on you the whole night.
Okay. All right, so you hit it once, you click on it once to put it up, you click on it again to turn it off.
Yes, thank you.
Absolutely.
Okay, public input and announcements, and I
Katja wanted
understand.
to speak.
Thank you. Good evening. I'm Catherine Cook. I am a resident of Rutland, but I teach at Mill River. Thank you for this opportunity to speak. I'm here as a representative of the Mill River Union Education Association and all the teachers at our schools to urge the board's negotiations team to continue to work with our negotiations team to come to a settled contract. As you can see from the number of new faces attending this meeting, the teachers and staff of our district support continued negotiations for fair compensation. In addition, we have a document with the signatures of over 145 faculty and staff, which includes 90% of all the teachers in our district, to attest to this fact. The document that people signed reads as follows. We, the undersigned, express our unwavering support for our Mill River Unified Education Association bargaining team in their pursuit of a fair and equitable contract for the district's teachers. We believe their proposals provide for a reasonable and fair compensation for educators and go a long way toward making this district a place where teachers can give their all for the community's children. As you know, negotiations for a new contract are awaiting mediation since the board declared impasse on April 11th. Since the beginning of the talks, we have been deeply concerned about inflation's effects on us and our families. An unsettled contract also makes attracting and retaining teachers who want to spend their careers here harder. It's never too late to resume bargaining. We urge the board to negotiate with the goal of fair compensation that values teachers and their collective skills, experience, and contributions. We know our negotiators are eager to reach an agreement that is fair to our teachers and good for our schools, our communities, and most importantly, our students. So thank you very much for your attention. This is the document with those signatures.
Thank you very much. Anybody else for comment, public comment, and then we'll have discussion. Okay, so board discussion. Anybody like to discuss or say anything? I have to keep remembering to look at the screen. Okay. Well, thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you for being
everybody
here.
coming. You can hang out if you want. Okay, so onto the approval of the minutes from May 15th's meeting. Do I have a motion to approve those?
I'll make that motion.
Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Do we have any edits, discussion on the minutes? Yes, Pat.
On part 11, under personnel,
The 3rd and 4th grade classroom teacher, I don't think that's at Wes. Is that Timoth? Is it supposed to be Timoth?
I think you're right. Let me find that, Pat. But I think you're right.
Under committee
Yes, that
reports.
is Tinmouth. Yep, we can fix that.
Also, did we, in the minutes of the board meeting, Sherry Wallet, did we make a motion as a special education 1.0?
No, you're thinking of Cheyenne, right? Cheyenne, was that the one we corrected in
Well,
our
there was-
personnel
yeah,
minutes?
but-
Yeah. No, because didn't we do that at a board meeting before this? Wasn't that a previous one? This is not on that meeting, Len, but good thought.
We're approving that tonight. I
Okay.
think.
That was one we just brought straight to the board and we didn't have at personnel, maybe.
It was in the Personnel Committee minutes on May 1st.
It is correct in the board minutes.
Is it? Okay. Okay, never mind.
Glad you're finding it, because I'm not seeing it in the,
All good.
So it was probably at the May 1st board meeting. Okay.
oh, because you're looking at May 1st. I'm looking at the 15th still. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. It
Okay.
was May 1st. That's why we don't see it in the one
Okay, just
in
wanted
front
to
of us
double
we're
check.
trying to approve. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. So do I have approval of the minutes with the change that Pat said? All in favor? I will be abstaining. So,
See Gary in favor and
yeah,
Sarah.
we're good.
And Stephen.
Thank
Yep.
you. Okay, so we have a basketball hoop repair bid.
So this is similar.
These are ongoing.
Similar to what we did in the main gym. So now we're looking at the middle school hoops. And this is the whole apparatus that provides for the safety for those hoops to be able to go up and down.
So remind me again, who did the main gym?
The vendor we use?
Yeah.
I'll look that up. I don't know.
Just wondering if it's one of the same that's on this list.
It is one of the
I-
same, but,
It's not Tri-State, right?
I almost want to say it's Carroll Seating, and they didn't
Give an estimate.
bid on this one. But our B&G meeting was like 4 weeks ago now, so
Okay.
my memory's a little foggy, so Brian Foggins.
I'm getting close. And this was something that Tim had run past B&G.
Getting bids right now is like a nightmare.
Yeah, it might take me a minute, but I'll track it down.
I'm just curious.
There we go. Tri-State was who we went with
Okay.
previously.
There you go.
That's what I thought.
But we don't have a motion yet, correct?
No, I was just asking. So I make a motion to accept the bid from Tri-State to repair the hoops in the middle school gym.
I'll second that.
Any more discussion or questions on it? All right, all in favor? All right, we are good for Tri-State.
I saw Stephen. Awesome. Stan.
Yes, copiers.
Stan, I think is going to walk over maybe.
We'll listen for his footsteps. He's coming. I heard him clear his throat.
Hey, Stan.
Come on in.
Then we have a proposal that we received from our existing copier vendor, Canon, Copiers of USA, which I think is their name. Our current contract with them expires in August, and we're trying to get a jump on getting new contracts into the building before the end of the school year. We did not do a bid to attract other vendors. What this contract that they're offering right now is a state contract, which allows us not to go and seek other bidders. They have a contract with the state. The contract that they are currently offering is current. It does expire July 31st of 2024, but that, the contract is current with the state. All the equipment that they are offering us is listed in the contract, and it's all under the active pricing, so that has not been, they're not giving us some old machines that have expired off that contract. They are all current with that contract. We currently have 12 copiers that are in the district. Under the current contract, we actually have 2 contracts currently, because we've been trying over the years to get into one contract, but prior to merger, everybody was on their own schedule in regards to copier leases. This last one, we were able to get 10 of the 12 on one, but we still had 2 out there that were by themselves. This contract will get all copiers on one contract, and we'll finally, we'll be dealing with just one vendor, one contract. The proposal we sent out to them and the number of copiers that we wanted was an additional 2 copiers for the district. Like I said, we had currently we have 12 in the district. That would bring us up to 14 copiers. The 2 extra copiers would be in the high school, one for the guidance office and one for the library. The copier for the library is actually replacing the color printer that is there. So there would be obviously some savings there in regards to the color cartridges that have to be purchased for that printer. Before you, they gave us 2 proposals. One proposal was the only difference between the 2 proposals is that the guidance copier under proposal 1 is black and white. Under proposal 2, the guidance copier is colored. Bjorn, our tech director, informed us that due to printing, report cards, colored was needed. So that's why it was asked that we would give them a colored copier. But we also have a proposal with just giving them the black and white copier. The difference in cost between the 2 proposals is somewhere around $70.
Yeah, I was gonna say not much.
$70 to the
which
side
was-
of saving, right?
Right. Proposal 2 is $70 more than proposal 1. Both proposals are still less than our current contract, which has 2 less copiers. Where we're seeing the savings on these proposals would be the per copy charge. It's 4.5 cents per copy on a colored copy, so that can get pricey. Proposal 1, colored copier charge would be 3.177 cents. The proposal 2 is 3.312 cents. The black and white charge is half of 1/100th of a cent less than the current copier charge that we have. Now, our current charge is 45/100ths of a cent. They're doing 44.7 of a cent on proposal 1 and 44.4 of a cent on proposal 2. Under proposal 1, it would be a 5-year lease. Proposal 1, the savings over 5 years compared to our current contract would be $11,737. Under proposal 2, it's $7,552. And with the lease, you know, the toner for the copiers are free, the the toner and the maintenance, there's no charge when they come or when we need it. Obviously, they build the charge into the lease agreement.
We're not getting extra charged.
Right, we're not getting extra. And something else that they've added, which we didn't have in the last contract, was we used to have to pay for our staples, we do not have to pay for those anymore. Those would be in the lease.
So I'll make a motion that we accept proposal number 2.
I'll second.
Any more discussion or questions?
Now that we're in discussion, proposed, in either proposal, you have number of sheets. I'm guessing that's not based on some type of average? Like you have 109,000 black and white copies?
Yeah, we have the average black and white copies per month and average color copies per month. I don't know if you got, there was a detailed sheet.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw it.
Anything else anybody wants to? All right, all in favor?
See all 3 on there.
All right, thank you. Thank you,
Stan.
Stan. All right, so curriculum bid.
That's me.
I was like, which one?
It's me. So this is a curriculum bid that I have to bring to you because it is over $30,000, but it is title funding that we've already gotten approved through the grant. So it's important just to point out that this is not coming out of local funds. Title funding can only be used for things that provide Tier 2 or Tier 3 level instruction. So the request that we have is for some books and materials that we can use to supplement our bookworms instruction at the elementary level. The reason normally when we bring you bids for curriculum, we bring you 3 different bids because we want to see what has the lowest price. In this case, you'll notice that I only brought you 1 bid. That is because we're using it, this bid is from Open Up Resources, which is the provider of the bookworms resources. And so in this case, it is a continuity of services bid. So it's just materials that are provided by the same company that does provide the Tier 1 materials that we're using now.
This is K through 5?
Yes.
Okay.
I'll make a motion that we accept the bid as presented.
I'll second it.
Any more discussion?
How long have you been using the bookworms? What year of
Yeah, so
implementation
this
are
is
you
the
in?
first year of district-wide implementation, K-8. Well, we're in a trial year, 6-8, because it's still under development. But a lot of our K-5 educators started to use it the year before. So it's really important just to point out that this was an educator-led idea. We came out of the work that educators were doing with the state's ELNIC through just work with the science of reading with Sharon Walpole. Educators got really excited. Julia could talk about this for hours, much more eloquently than I can, but our teachers were seeing such great results with kids that they said, hey, let's really look at this. And I've always been passionate about the importance of coordinated curriculum, so we said, hey, let's try it. And gosh, the results have been amazing this year, so we're excited to go into year 2. But, you know, we need resources and materials to continue to do the best job we can with it.
Can you remind me what Title I funds are again?
Yep. So Title I and II are intended for specific uses that the federal government provides to us. So that's the money that we get for, according to the amount of students we have that reach free and reduced lunch numbers. In this case, we're using title funds for Tier 2 literacy intervention materials.
Okay. That's what I thought, but I couldn't remember. All right, so we have a second. All in favor of accepting this? All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Now we are on to the maintenance bids.
So these are 3 that we actually looked at with Finance Committee. And you'll look at the numbers on these, and some of them you might go, well, why are you bringing this to the board? This is because these are funds that were budgeted and unused at this point in the year. So the first one that we're looking at is a scissor lift. And this would be using funds from the B&G budget. So if we had a little bit of savings on fuel oil, we've got funding in the B&G budget. And we have a lift that is in disrepair, parts are no longer made, and we need to get it inspected because you can't use a lift like this while it's unsafe. It's not going to pass inspection and parts aren't available. So this is, I think, a reasonable use of those funds that have not been spent in other areas of B&G. So we would ask the board to make a motion to contract with United Rentals for purchase of a scissor lift.
I'll make that motion.
Any questions? Pat?
Okay, and this lift will be used at the different schools throughout the
Yep,
district? not just-
absolutely.
Okay.
We'll use it wherever we need it.
It's on a trailer that they can
We can get it
zip
around.
it
yeah.
around.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think,
Brian, say the
Yep.
number, what the
oh,
price of that
sorry, I
is.
did not say that. Thank you, Denise. $14,329. So technically, that would not trigger coming to the board. But we're coming to the board because it's not what those funds were intended for. If they were intended for fuel oil, we don't need to ask.
The other thing was, we did ask about renting it.
Yeah.
And it was like $2,000
$2,500 to
A
rent
month.
it for.
For 1
well,
month.
I think that was actually like 2 weeks.
or 2 weeks. It
So
was,
by the time you tried to rent it for, even a couple of times for 2 weeks at a time, you would have purchased one. So, yeah, no, thank you for bringing that back up, Carol.
Yeah, I have a point to add to the rental problem. Every time you rent it, you pay a very expensive delivery and pickup fee.
Oh.
So it really is not an efficient way to do that if you're going to be using it on any kind of a long-term basis.
Fair.
and the other thing we talked about was the safety of just not having people going up and down ladders
Yep.
to change light bulbs and stuff, so.
Yep. Other questions?
All in favor of this?
Okay, see everybody? Awesome, thank
All
you.
right. Now we're onto a truck.
Yep. So maintenance truck is falling apart. And here we would be asking to use funds that have not been used from the transportation budget and the business office budget. So the majority of that coming from transportation budget. So the truck that we're, well, I'll wait for discussion. We do not.
Since I was part of the B&G, I'm going to make a motion based upon the paragraph at the bottom that we approve $33,000 from the transportation budget and $7,000 from the business office budget for a total of $40,000 total for discretion of purchase towards a vehicle.
I'll second it for
That's a
discussion.
really good way you said that. Okay, now discussion.
This truck is the same size, so my understanding is the current truck we have is a 3/4 ton truck. I know nothing about trucks, so I'm just repeating what I've been told. And they really priced out a Chevy Silverado 2500, which is a 3/4 ton truck, I'm told.
Yep.
And that's what would be necessary for some of the trailer hauling that they do with their truck these days. So that's why they came up with those quotes. Any questions, comments, thoughts? I know Nick's got a motion on the table for a dollar amount and just approving us to go find the best price that we can find, basically.
So B&G had a very lengthy discussion. For those that can't see it, Tim went out and did his homework and said, hey, these are trucks that are available with relatively low mileage. They're in great shape. And these are their prices. There is one that is really close. It's at $40,970. If we look at the budget that's available to us, it's $40,000, which is hence my proposal. Hopefully we can negotiate something and get something close to $40,000. That way it's within our budget. That's why hey, we can give it back to Tim and say, if you can get us a truck for 40, there it is.
So that's why it's in Tim's name.
No.
So,
Why is it?
So once upon a time, the current truck, right now, you're gonna love this story, used to be Don Marquis.
Oh.
And we bought it from him, and that is the truck that is now in disarray.
So we're
And
trying to
Tim-
buy a truck from Tim?
Tim is willing to sell his truck if we are able to buy it for a reasonable price.
He's willing to sell it at the Blue Book trade-in value. That's how he came up with that number.
Well, he's gonna have to knock $900 off.
And then we looked around for anything we could possibly find, anything kind of close that we could find. So that's where those numbers came from.
I tried to talk them down to a smaller truck, but
And there's a reason we're not making a recommendation to the board. We want the board to think through that and make the best choice. With vehicle purchases, it does get kind of tricky sometimes. When we did our van purchase, the board did authorize, here's a number, go find one. Because sometimes you call up the dealer, you get quotes, you come to the board meeting, you get approval, and you call the dealer back and they say, sorry, we sold it. So I think that's a somewhat standard thing to do with a vehicle purchase like that. But we want to be very clear that we don't necessarily care which direction the board wants to go, and the board can weigh that. We didn't want there to be a conflict of interest that we were making a recommendation. Is that fair?
And these prices aren't that bad for truck, I mean, trucks are
Right.
absolutely ridiculously
Agreed.
priced now. Yeah.
Yeah, Denise. Yep.
One is 40,000, that's
Mhm.
inclusive of tax, title, registration. And two, what happens to the old truck?
The old truck, great question. We can sell it if we can sell it. I mean, we've done that with old buses. We've sold them. So we don't just, they don't just disappear.
Yeah, well, I wondered how much that was.
Yep.
1,000?
I don't know.
So, yeah, if we did sell, isn't it right that we put the money in the, what's that fund?
Stan, what
surplus
what would we do if we sold the truck? Where would that money go?
Isn't it held?
Give him 45 seconds to walk over.
He's gonna hate me.
Yeah. Oh, there.
Oh,
is.
there he is.
Don't bother walking. Yeah, the money was just going to the general fund.
That's what I couldn't remember.
So it would, and
You
if
just got two separate things, you got an expenditure.
Yeah.
The expenditure budget that you gotta, and money for the expenditure budget, revenues are kind of separate from. the expenditure.
and this would go in now, so it would pretty much turn into surplus.
Yes.
Correct.
Okay.
Yep. Okay.
Other discussion, other questions?
so if we vote on this, we're just
Yep.
approving the amount.
You're approving the amount. Yeah. Yep.
At least how it's currently proposed.
And we will, correct. The motion on, as it stands right now, is approving the amount, and we'll do our due diligence, and we'll try and dig up as many trucks in the area that we could purchase that are same details.
All right, so all in favor of the proposed amount? What is it, 40,000?
Okay, everybody.
All right. Thank you.
Last one is snow blower. And snow blower, I told, let me do that real quick. I told finance that we were trying to get quotes. A week has gone by and Tim has had no success. He had somebody call him back and say, sorry, I can't help you. He's still trying to get in touch with a third person. So the only quote we've actually been able to secure is from Town Line Equipment for $6,660. We do have, again, in the business office budget, $7,000 that would turn into surplus if we don't use it. So we would request that the board approve us contracting with Town Line Equipment for the purchase of a snow blower. And we can talk after we get a motion.
I'll make that motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
All right, let's talk.
We don't need to provide more than one quote for this because it doesn't actually trigger any bid laws, any federal, state requirements. We just always like to do our due diligence. The cost here we're bringing to you solely because it's not been budgeted for a snow blower. So if we had budgeted this funding for a snow blower, we just go out and make the purchase, and we could do that with only one quote anyway. So just so folks know that we're not skirting bid law. We're bringing it to you for other reasons. Carol?
So this says snow blower attachment.
Yep.
Does this go on the tractor? Or?
Yes,
Okay,
correct.
I couldn't remember.
We not currently have one.
So the truck well, let me back up. We have a snow blower that really struggles. So we have one that will push down the sidewalks. We had a couple of events here this year where a combination of when, especially out front here, when the folks that we contract with to plow go through that front drive around the circle, there's nowhere for that snow to go really except up on the sidewalk. And we had a couple of times where the snow blower just couldn't cut it. You know, we had to replace a belt because that stuff was just too icy and too heavy. So having this attachment would allow us to do some of that work far more easily. We have a plow for the current truck. You know, if we wanted to outfit a new truck with a plow apparatus, that would have a pretty big cost to it too, but I think this is more flexible and more usable. We can't really do that sidewalk with the truck plow. So having it on the tractor, I think, just makes it a little more versatile.
And if I recall, it's just for Mill River. It's
And
mainly
largely, we would use it here.
because the other schools are kind of covered.
Yep.
Okay.
No, good question. Other questions?
Can you talk a little bit about, when you said like the money would go into surplus if not used, just like what is that? Can you talk about what happens there and what that might mean?
So one of the probably the way that we talk about that unanticipated surplus the most would be when we start coming up with ballot language for the budget. So when we put something on the ballot around, can we use, let's say, $300,000 of unanticipated surplus to go into our building fund? We have to go to voters to use that surplus for anything it wasn't budgeted for. So if we don't use it, it goes into that unanticipated surplus bucket where we either put something on the ballot to use it or it sits there. So we lose a lot of flexibility in what we actually could do with that funding, really. So lots of times you end up in the spring, people look at their budgets and they go, oh, I've got some money left. What could we do with this that would be useful and reasonable to do and not lose the money?
Mm-hmm.
So that's the conversation we're having now.
What's the deadline? When does it become surplus?
So we need to spend it by July 1, really. So June 30. Otherwise, that's when our fiscal year is going to reset. So anything we don't use by June 30 is going to go into that unanticipated surplus bucket.
Thank you for explaining that.
Yep. And we had a lot of conversations with Finance Committee last year about how do we work to cut down on the amount of surplus we're generating, because that's not necessarily a good place for us to be. We should be working within our budget. I think that has tax implications too. We always want to shoot for spending what we budget. Otherwise, we're asking our taxpayers for more money than we need. So if we do need these things, great, let's use this funding for it so that we can look at our budget next year and have a more reasonable budget that doesn't generate as much surplus. So I do think that it's got some thing about long-term budget strategy. I think it's reasonable to think about how this impacts what we do a year or two from now even. Does that make sense?
All right, so to a vote, are we all in favor of
Snowblower.
the snow blower from Town Line Equipment? I kind of forgot what was going on after so much. 1, 2,
3.
All right,
Okay.
thank you. All opposed?
I said
Oh,
yes.
was your hand up? Okay.
You weren't paying attention, that's all.
All right, so that was the end of that, right?
Bronson, you ready?
Bronson, for your last time.
You can come at the end of June if you want. We
Yeah,
won't feel bad
you
if you
are all-
don't.
you're
We won't
always
feel bad
welcome.
if you don't.
So, firstly, I'd like to thank the many teachers here for attending. If you don't know me, my name is Bronson Patch. I'm a junior here at Mill River. Back to the board. Recapping my briefings to you this year, I've received many communications from students in all the different places around the school. You may remember things like they appreciated the 6th grade district-wide meetups. They thought those were good, and I took part in those when I was in 6th grade. They were very good, and Ms. Stewart Ruck, I know, is trying to expand those, and they really appreciate that. So, good job. They also are very proud of the music department, athletics, etc. Many things they appreciate. On the other hand, they suggested changing like the room numbering system. We've told you that it's very confusing, but obviously there's trouble changing it. So I've had meetings with Ms. Thompson about ways to just improve it, and also asked for some more class variety because shrinking school and we're losing some classes, and that's not good. Simple, as well as a few other things. But ending my recap for today's meeting, I have not talked to you about the 11th and 12th grade, so that's what we'll do. I'm an 11th grader, like I've said, so I will also be representing myself as a community member. Hi, I'm Bronson. I live in Clarendon, so it'll be about 50-50. So I didn't formally survey this group, but I've been kind of anecdotally surveying them, asking my friends, because I'm an 11th grader, and my classmates. And I feel that I'm the most connected to this group, so I hope you take this advice the most to heart when voting and thinking about voting. Yeah, again, I'm a very involved junior, and many of my friends and classmates are very involved, and we've been here the longest. We know what's going on. So firstly, I'd like to start with some good news. Music department, incredible. I hear from my music teachers, who are a little bit biased, but also just the student body, that we're like state class level music department. I believe Mrs. Simonetti said that we are one of 2 schools with a tenor bass ensemble in the high school, which might not mean something to you, but it's pretty impressive. The other school has like 4 times the amount of students we do, so we're doing great. And we have, I believe, 3 times like the average music participation in the nationwide standard. So, good job, you. That's something to be proud of. Secondly, other things that make me personally proud, and I'm sure the other kids in the school, the theater program, we're doing good. It's about to be change of hands, and we're all very sad to see Mr. Bruno go. We're excited for a new chapter. The organic garden, I think, is a very cool, unique thing that Mill River does, and it's a very Vermont thing. And bio classes are definitely a highlight of many students' day. So thank you, Mr. Gamache. And then thirdly, the teachers. A lot of the teachers, I'll go through my day, and a lot of my classmates And just we can tell that the teachers care and that they are dedicated to trying as hard as they can, going above and beyond, and maybe more than what they're paid for. If that, not saying anything, but so thank you to the teachers. They are definitely, they're not slacking. They're going the extra mile for us. Now into some of the bad things that I've noticed. I've heard from my teachers who, I know I'm the student rep, but I'm going to also be the teacher rep tonight because you guys employ them and they have to sugarcoat things if you're going to tell them to you. So I've heard from a few teachers that in the past, not when I was here, so I don't personally remember, but I don't think my teachers were lying. I trust them, that positions were cut. That we used to have more math teachers, more science teachers, more English teachers, and just more class variety. And just, I've heard from my relatives that went to Mill River that it used to be academics were just, if you wanted those, you went to Mill River. And it had, people were proud of Mill River. They'd move into the district because of Mill River. And not that we're a bad school, but the mood is bad. The students, something bad will happen and they'll say, oh, of course, it's Mill River, instead of something good happening, and they'll be like, what, here? I've had many of my accomplished friends go to different schools like BBA or Rutland just because they had more opportunities. And a number of my most accomplished friends, actually. And I also hear from teachers that there have been budget cuts. I assume for most of the departments, specifically, I know art has been cut year after year, which is kind of a cliche thing for you guys to do as a school board, but I would expect you to support all the departments, and I assume the teachers and the parents and most importantly the voters would expect you to do that too. So if you could stop doing that, that would be much appreciated as an art student, like the vast majority of the students at Mill River are art students. I mean, that must have felt like a confusing sentence. So that was the bad. Academics could be brought up. It is by no means the teacher's fault. There are a handful of my teachers, I think, are just incredible. Like, I'm surprised that they're not university lecturers with tenure at some of those prestigious universities, because they're just so incredible at teaching us so much in such a short time, so simply. It doesn't even feel like we're learning. It feels like we're just having a conversation. And they make class fun. They make coming to school fun. And like I said, the teachers, they want to improve things. Administration, I can feel that they're trying to make things better constantly. So that's back to the good things. I can feel that it's trying to improve, but you guys have to help. And that's most of my speech as a just and like I've said before, personally, I would appreciate more support for the academics, the higher academics too, and more variety. Like, I don't know, you don't have to have a new teacher, but ask one of your teachers, take a summer continuing education class. Have one of them teach one semester of like a business class. Because a lot of kids go into business. Have them teach a engineering focused math class. Have more of the home ec classes. We have the space. I know my friends ask, why don't we use that space? And that's your job to use it, to see that it happens. And I'm sure the community would appreciate if their kids were happier going to school, learned more, I don't say practical things, but learned more we're more well-rounded. So I encourage you to ask the teachers, because they know best. I'm looking at a few of them that they know what you can do to make it better, but you guys don't ask them. Because the handful of teachers that I talked about, that I'm most proud of, that I wonder why they're not well-known lecturers. They're the ones that they'll be saying, yeah, it happened again this year, this bad thing, interruptions during AP testing, or, oh, they interrupted the middle of our most important teaching month for this and more thing. And we're like, okay, so why didn't you tell administration? And they said, yeah, I've told them before, they don't listen. So if you guys could not just listen when they tell you, but actively seek their advice in an unbiased manner would be best. All of that I say respectfully, knowing your job is hard and having aspirations of someday maybe being a board member wherever I end up. And knowing that I'm not trying to say you guys are doing a bad job, because you're not. You're doing well. But this is my suggestion to do even better. Thank you. Oh,
Thank you
also,
for sharing
if
that,
you would
Bronson.
pay the teachers, that'd be nice. But-
Can I go on that, just one little thing? Because I don't know if the board members are aware. Like my child, next year coming here, there's no more math for him to take. There's no more English for him to take. There's no more language for him to take. Like, he's taken what the school offers. How can we not provide him with something? You know, but that is something I think we need to work on. And I just want to make sure everybody's aware that that's a thing. And if we want to be a school known for academics, which that's important.
That's definitely a conversation we can have in budget season.
Oh, may
Absolutely.
I restart?
Yeah.
Last time I was told that you guys want at least 10 students to sign up for a class for it to happen. I've thought about that. 6 of my 8 classes I had yesterday, because today was block day. 6 of the 8 have fewer than 10 students. And I believe all but one of the AP classes have fewer than 10 students. So if you guys would continue down that path of cutting all fewer than 10 kid classes, you're going to become a pretty crappy school. With the only AP class I believe would be AP Art. You'd lose Calc, Stats, you'd lose your 2 best English classes, you'd lose your hardest science class, you'd lose a lot, and you'd lose some kids like me. I'd have to find a different school to go to. And we're trying. We're grouping together, we got a few more AP classes, 1 or 2 that wouldn't have happened if we hadn't asked the administration and asked them and roped in some of our friends to join them. Like AP European History, we've been asking for that since we've been freshmen. And it's happening this year because we persisted. It'd be nice if we didn't have to do that. If you guys would, support us. It'd be good.
We can, budget season, we can absolutely talk about adding academic teachers. Absolutely.
Thank you.
We hear you, Bronson.
Yeah.
We really do. Thank you for serving this year, and I really hope that maybe next year you can maybe come back or help recruit, because it does help us as the board knowing what you guys, because we're not always in the schools. We can't. But thank you very much.
Well, it's been a pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so moving on, we're gonna do board goals.
So we had some time that we had built into our schedule, so this was great timing that it fell today in our schedule. But we also have retreat for the board that we're talking about coming up. And we had talked at our last meeting about this being a good, get everybody on the same page and make that retreat time a little more efficient, because we'll have started thinking about this.
We have pretty much everybody here,
Yeah, which is
so that helps out too.
which is great. So this is just time for us to look at these board goals and just start thinking about what were we able to accomplish this year? What were we not able to accomplish this year? Are there things that we need to think about as we head into that retreat where we maybe need to change these, update these, or not?
Brian, is it possible for you to send that to us so that we can look at it?
Yeah,
on our
thi-
screens?
um,
'Cause that's a little hard to
Yep, I can do that. This is on the website.
Yeah, we do have, yeah.
Yep. It lives on the bottom, board goals here. Sorry, you can't see that. I'll email it to board members right now. If you go to the bottom of any page on our website, so anywhere you are at all, you go all the way down to the bottom, there's a board goals link. We tried to make that not hard to find. Okay, that is going your way now.
August. It's August. So we have in the past, and we can discuss and kind of set what we want the retreat to look like and be able to maximize our time that we're there. So I'm kind of suggesting that we will go over the vision because we have new members and things. The vision, mission, and values, we will definitely, start with that. And then I think from there, and please, somebody clarify with me, then we'll go on to, the board will. This will give us the chance, and we've kind of set these and they've been there, but this will give us the chance to maybe broaden, continue work in supporting staff and stuff, and that's a lot of it we can, because this is kind of half, we haven't finished it. So that's kind of what the retreat will look like, is going through all of this, having lots and lots of discussion on what we want and what staff would like us to adopt into here.
So what does this vision, mission, and values, I mean, each of the schools have their own vision, or how does, I'm trying to remember, we used to have a district-wide. Is that the same as the board?
So we can go back and do a lot of history on this and talk about that, but I'll give you the really, really short version for today.
Yeah.
Last year, we looked in the summer at mission, vision, values with a handful of different groups, the board being one of those groups. So we actually, I think, I said the summer, but we met a couple of times periodically throughout the year as the board, and we looked at mission, vision, values. We did get some input from other stakeholder groups periodically last year as well. We had a mission, vision, and values, so we didn't start from scratch. We just looked at it and said, hey, does this still make sense, or do we need to update it? So we did a lot of small tweaks on it. We haven't touched it this year because we did that small tweaking last year. The board goals were a really big rewrite from what we had previously. So mission, vision, values, we touched a little bit, but not much. Board goals, we pretty much rewrote from scratch almost. Is that, I see Len nodding, yeah.
There was a lot more.
Yeah, we used to have a board goal that said student math scores will improve by 4% every year. We said, well, is that the board's work? I mean, the board.
Well, I guess what I'm wondering is, this is in alignment with what the districts.
Yep.
Is it the same, or is there a separate vision, mission?
Some schools still have their own mission that's going to be slightly different.
Yeah, that's what I'm asking for our district.
Yeah.
So I would hope that we would align somewhat.
So, schools are going to have some slightly different wording that they use, but we all, and you know, when the leadership team gets together and we look at this, we all go back to the district vision, mission, values. So,
As opposed to the board vision.
no.
That's what I'm trying to.
No, sorry, I'm totally misunderstanding your question. The board doesn't have a different vision, mission,
So
values.
this is the district vision, okay.
Yep.
And
Sorry, I was
our
not
goals
picking up on that.
are to help
But your goals
facilitate
are specific only to the board, and that was the largest rewrite. You know, these are things that the board should be able to accomplish on their own. Can the board affect students' ability to learn math? Yeah, but I think you have to connect the dots pretty far back to do that. You have to start talking about, are we budgeting appropriately to support a coordinated curriculum? Okay, but does that automatically affect student test scores? No. So we sat down and really did some intentional work to try and come up with board goals that really are within the board's realm to accomplish. So. Sorry I was misunderstanding your question.
Oh, that's all right. I'm never clear about what I'm asking.
And we have a fairly new board, even from the group that sat down last summer and rewrote these board goals. We really do. I think there are some of these that we've done well on this year, but I think there are some that we haven't. I think there are some that previous board members really carried the torch and had a passion for. And that's really tough when you transition and board members don't even like cross paths, you know? Your old folks are gone and your new folks are there at your first meeting. So there's not a lot of continuity there sometimes. So I think there's definitely some things we can look at our retreat and go, yeah, we didn't really do that. Is it still something we feel is important and we need to do, or is there something that we should do differently? Because every board is going to be a little different and approach the work a little different.
So is it appropriate, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
Is it appropriate right now to talk about what some of the areas we should address
Sure.
publicly?
We have time. We have time. And I
So
think that was part of the intention.
we did talk about looking at the committee charges and maybe
Yeah.
adjusting some of those to, well, I know
Community
couple of the
engagement
ones.
you're thinking of specifically. Yep.
community engagement and I think building and grounds we talked about and ways to coordinate building and grounds and finance and
Absolutely.
Which is
personnel
what
and
we have
finance
done.
and trying to have more, you know, the committees are great, but they overlap as well. And, you know, I've been going to all the committee meetings, even the ones I'm not on, just to see, because then when you come to this meeting, and the committee, you know, a committee makes a recommendation, you don't really know how they got there.
Yeah, those committee meetings are pretty darn important sometimes.
Yeah,
Yep.
so,
Yep.
anyway, I know we had talked about looking at the committee charges a little bit.
So can I just say that going into our retreat, with the new board members that are here and the and I'm sorry to say this, but the old board members that are here,
Our veteran board members.
yes, there we go. I would really like the veteran members to reflect on the last year and the new board members to help us in perceiving for the next year. Because we have such a new board, and Brian is right in that when election time comes,
People are gone.
literally,
Yeah.
you know, the people who had the passion sometimes can share their voices with members that are still there, but otherwise they're gone and the new are on. It's very hard in a transition for the first couple months after election. Having to gone through a couple elections, I stress for about 6 months. So in trying to make this a little bit smoother in our retreat and make it productive and like feel like we've actually accomplished something, that I want to go through all, like everything that we have. And I want to be able to have the viewpoints from everybody, because us veterans are going to reflect back. Like, Len's got how many years under his belt?
A couple.
A couple. Nick's
11?
got a couple.
11, maybe? 11 or 12, maybe? Yeah.
You know, Nick's got a couple under his belt. I've been here. Josh has been here a little bit. You know, just kind of like looking at that part of it.
Andrea, to clarify, when you say you want to accomplish, can you, what explicitly, like, are you hoping to be able to walk away from our retreat and being like, all right, we got our,
Because our retreat's pushed out so bad. Yeah, so bad. Sorry. It's after 8 o'clock. Caffeine's wearing off. Because it's pushed out to August because of all of our schedules and stuff like that. Realistically, that day, I would love to walk out of there and say, okay, we all feel good. This is good. We can revisit maybe in 6 months.
can I ask, I would love as a new board member to also have like accountability checkpoints for us maybe built into the year of being like, how are we doing? And then maybe it is like part of like each committee too, like kind of figures out where they play in here and how to kind of.
So what I'm thinking is.
Can I say
and-
one thing real quick?
Yep.
Sorry. And Kim, I think that's a great idea, and part of what folks can bring is those committee reorganization sheets, because some committees have started thinking about.
Yeah.
Some committees haven't. So I think that's thinking about, we have these goals, when are we going to do them? And who's responsible? Some of these are going to clearly fall in a committee's lap. And some committees have already thought about, well, what do I do first quarter of the year? What do I do second quarter of the year? So I think having everybody come to the table and compare notes makes tons of sense. Sorry, Andrea.
And no, that's fine. And I think that we have, forget me, I don't remember right off the top of my head, that we do our retreat in the summer, and then if we don't already, I would like to every quarter, touch base we can do it
Yeah.
in a board meeting for
Sure.
10 minutes. Hey, how are we doing? How are we doing with meeting what we need? Do we need to discuss something or anything like that? So it makes us accountable.
And folks that were just elected,
Yeah.
this is second time we've looked at these, is that right?
Yes.
So we try to,
We got really busy last
yeah,
year.
here, let me throw this here. This is something that I think did I share this with new board members, the annual meeting plan? Because I thought somebody asked about it. Josh asked about it. If I didn't send it to new folks, I'm sorry. We build in looking at board goals basically quarterly.
Yeah.
If you see the orange is when we look at board goals. So, to Andrea's point, we don't just do this work in the summer and then walk away and hope it gets done in committees. We as a full board are going to check back in at a full board meeting to go, okay, let's look at these. How are we doing?
And that doesn't mean that any of you, after this is done, can't email me and say, it's getting close to the quarter, this is a thought of mine that we really should address. And we'll make a checklist, and then that way it's getting covered. Because I think that along with, the accountability for every member of all of our schools, we need to be accountable too, and we need to stick to our goals. Y'all may hate me by the end of my term, but, so yes, so my goal for the end of August, the August retreat, is to be able to walk away and say, okay, this can be in print, we're all uncomfortable on it, and in 3 months, we will look at it again and see where we might need to change or where we might need to alter, enhance, or whatever. Yes, Nick,
I
please
was
stop
patiently
me.
waiting. I know it's a lot to accomplish in 3 hours, but I would also like to revisit the board, bear with me, bylaws.
Bylaws, yeah.
That may have to be at a
And-
later date.
Well, and
But our schedule.
let's talk during agenda building, because I think there might be a June date that we could potentially use too, so we could stick to our.
Because a lot of our
Early summer, late
charges
summer.
are built into
Into our bylaws.
the bylaws.
So if we update charges, we do need to update bylaws.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I think that's where we were leaning towards, let's do 1 day on goals and 1 day on
We can do.
bylaws, maybe. Maybe that's what we were thinking.
I think so, because we can't crunch those into
Yeah.
1 day for 3 hours.
Do we want to talk retreat timing during agenda building, or just do that now?
Just, let's do it now.
Okay. I had 3 dates that had a reasonable amount of folks available. I did have a couple of folks I hadn't heard from yet, but I think everybody in the room here, I think I did hear from everyone in the room, so thank you. June 22nd, we could have 5 people available. August 3rd, we could have 6 people available. Those were our best dates, if that works. So the best we're looking at right now is even August 3rd, we would only have 6 people in the room to do that, out of the dates that we had laid out.
Ryan, I should be available for that August date.
Okay.
Sorry I didn't get back to you.
Nope, all
No,
good, all
fine.
good. I know you got things going on, Gray, thank you.
So that's 7, I mean, that's quorum, we're
Yep.
fine.
So question is it worth meeting in June? To have a meeting on the books and get started? We could alternately say, wow, June board meeting, maybe we just devote the vast majority of our June board meeting to this work. We could do that.
So our June board meeting would be June 15th.
I think that's right. Or 19th, June 19th.
Oh, wait, I'm in the wrong month.
So,
Sorry.
you know, if we're looking at a June 22nd retreat date, but going, gosh, we don't have a lot of folks available, is it worth just scheduling a meeting June 19th and having a lot of the bulk of that time diving into board goals?
I would suggest we do bylaws,
Yes,
Okay.
At that-
instead of,
Okay.
and because these are gonna flow from the bylaws, I think, more than the other way around.
Okay, I think that's reasonable. I think bylaws probably will be faster, and we can probably send out an email to committees and say, hey, committees, if you have changes, let's get them on paper somewhere, and if you don't, great. Are you thinking, Len, bylaws at a June 19th board meeting, or at a retreat on the weekend?
No, I think we can do it on the
meeting?
19th.
Okay, yep,
no, we do like a half an hour of
Yep.
business.
okay.
First half an hour is
Yep,
business and
do
the rest of
it.
it.
45
I
minutes on bylaws, yeah. Okay.
The other thing at some point that we need to talk about as a board is our roles and responsibilities as board members, not just as
Yes,
committee members.
yes.
But also as members of the board.
Yep.
You know, to respond, to emails that are sent out, to.
Yeah, we have that.
You know, I think that's important that folks realize that besides just being a board member, there's a lot more to it than just showing up on Wednesdays. And if we're going to expect other folks to step up, then we need to step up as well, I think.
Yep. Thanks for the reminder on squeezing that in.
Okay. Are you putting that
Yeah.
under agenda building too?
Yeah,
Other thing?
yep. So what I'm hearing, I think, is Len's got a proposal that we just set aside a lot of our next board meeting to do bylaws work.
Yep.
Is that reasonable? And then we're
And
going,
then the
we're going to
August one
plan
we'll
on
do.
August 3rd as our Saturday retreat, and we're going to focus a lot on board goals.
Yep.
Okay. I might give you some homework before the 3rd. Just thinking about if we show up on the 3rd, yeah, I'm going to give you homework. I'll leave it at
No,
that.
I think we should have homework, so we have
So
prep
that
time.
you can do something
so we
early
can
summer to be already thinking about these.
Utilize
Yeah.
our 3 hours that we will have that day.
It's a
It
lot
won't
to
be
do.
hard, I
It's a
promise.
lot. I know it's
Go to
hard.
Crystal Beach, they have Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
Exactly.
What about accommodating this many people? Why aren't you eating up the signal in the morning?
Coral just leaked the secret. All right, so with all of that said, let's move on to our committee reports. First one is personnel.
Huh, imagine that.
I know.
Okay, we have several contracts that were approved in the committee, and now we need the approval of the full board. So, first up is, I'd make a motion to offer a contract to Sherry Wallet, 1.0 full-time equivalency as a para-educator.
I'll second that.
Discussion? All those in favor? Opposed?
Sorry.
Okay. Yes, ma'am.
I was paying attention to the screen.
Next, I'd like to make a motion to offer Adam DiBartolo a contract 1.0 full-time equivalency, grades 7 through 12, special education teacher.
I'll make that motion. Oh, you made the motion. I'll
I
make the
did.
second.
You can.
Get it together.
Discussion.
It's after 8 o'clock.
I know.
Discussion? Okay, all those in favor? Opposed? Abstain? Moving right along. I'd like to make a motion to offer Justine Franco a contract 1.0 full-time equivalency as K through 12 school nurse. And I'd make that motion.
I'll second that.
Thank you. And we need some discussion on that.
That's a position that historically has been an LPN position, and we've been having some conversations around education quality standards and technically what is called for with our number of students. And if you call up the state and ask them, they would say they would much rather see school nurses than LPNs. So Amy and I have been having a little bit of that conversation the last several years. We've had ESSER funding that we were able to have a school nurse full-time 2 years ago and part-time this year. So we've bridged that gap a little bit with grant funding. With one of our LPNs departing, we said, well, timing is good to think about, do we hire differently? Because we don't want to put somebody out of a position, but now's a good time to think about that transition. So we posted for both. We posted for an LPN, we posted for a school nurse. And we had a school nurse candidate that was fantastic. So Personnel Committee, I brought them some background information today to describe why we're thinking about shifting there. There is a little bit of a budgetary impact with that, the difference between an LPN and the difference between a school nurse, depending on a benefits package, might be $30,000, $40,000. We have Medicaid funding that we did not draw down over the last several years the way we normally would because of ESSER funding. So we do have a bit of a surplus of Medicaid funding. So to use that Medicaid funding, we could bridge that gap again for a school nurse for next year. We would need to revisit that in the fall and talk about that during budget season and talk about if that is something important for us going forward, if we want to continue that, or if we want to move back to an LPN for that position. Questions on that? A school nurse is just like an RN versus an LPN. So they're two different licenses. So a school nurse can oversee LPNs. A school nurse can do a lot more than an LPN, but the LPN can serve our students. But they have to have somebody overseeing them. Yeah, good question.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, all those in favor? Opposed? Very good. Thank you. Next, I'd like to make a motion to offer a contract to Jamie Coffey, fourth grade classroom teacher at Wallingford, 1.0 full-time equivalency.
I'll second that.
Discussion. And this is a replacement for a teacher who's leaving.
Mhm.
Anything else? All in favor? Opposed? Thank you. Next,
John.
I'd like to offer a 2-year contract at Mill River Union School to Sean Robinson, and I make that a motion.
And I will second that.
Or the position of.
I said that, didn't I? I didn't say principal.
No.
Oh.
2-year contract? Did
I
you
said-
say
I said-
two?
Two-year
said 2-year
contract, and we're like,
Oh, you expect me to remember everything.
I know, it's after 8 o'clock.
So the motion says,
Sorry, Sean.
It's nice
this
to know.
this is how we operate. It's a little scary, really, if you want to think about it. But anyways, okay, a 2-year contract as principal for Sean Robinson here at Mill River.
Thank you.
Do you want me to second that?
Yeah.
Discussion. Sean,
Would you like to say anything?
I am so thankful and appreciative of the committee's hard work and getting to meet the families and talk to folks. And so it's been great to watch this meeting and get some feedback and hear things that are going. I really look forward, assuming the board approves, to getting to know folks and to being available and all the great work that the school is doing. So thank you so much for the opportunity.
Carol, Nick, or Kim, do any of you want to speak to the process?
Go ahead, Kim.
Well, it was a lovely process. We had, I'll speak to the hiring committee that was made up of staff and some of us on the board, admin. It was really wonderful to get to talk with you, Sean. We're excited that you have accepted and you're here tonight. What else? What else do y'all want to say?
We did have some family members.
Right,
They met outside.
Yeah. So he met with families, or all of the applicants met with the families, and they met with the committee, and we were way off schedule. We just got so into a
We figured it out.
And in the committee and the family that met were in alignment pretty much across the board with the candidates. So that felt really good. A lot of us pulled the same stuff from the conversations and the interviews.
And I think I'll give a little bit of an overview of the full process. We post for that position, and Lynn and I look at the applicants that had applied, and I think there was only one applicant we didn't interview that came in that initial list that Lynn and I looked at. We gave that hiring committee the authority to make the hire if they wanted. So the committee had a strong unanimous recommendation that we hire Sean. So that was not my call. That was not anybody else's call here except the members on that hiring committee, which I think is important. We trust our folks to identify the best candidate. Why wouldn't they? And we know the more folks we have involved and the more we trust them, the better things end up in the end. So I think important that our folks were able to participate in that. Len, you want to add anything to that, or is that?
No, I just want to echo the fact that, you know, we have changed the process over the past couple of years, and I think it's much more open, and it provides folks an opportunity to speak with the individuals who are applying for the position, and they get to make the choice. And I think that's important. Any other discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Sean, welcome. And we'll talk about the next personnel meeting when we get to agenda building. The one thing I do want to mention is folks should have received from BJ the superintendent evaluation. I hope the teachers have got those, okay. The board members didn't, but.
Well, you say I didn't.
We're taking
You
care.
did?
I did not.
No.
Okay, don't worry about it.
Yeah.
I sent an email.
Andrea's taking care of it. I got one, but anyways.
He was the only one.
So when you get that, please fill it out, and we've really expanded that this year. Last year, it was pretty much select few, if you will. But this year, in our conversations in personnel and with Brian, the feeling was we really need to open it up and let all the folks. And as I said, I think in the cover letter, you know, you may not know how to respond because of how much contact you have with Brian or contact you don't have. So feel free to leave anything blank that you aren't sure. And also, I would suggest that you feel free, because there's an area to add comments, and feel free to do that as well. So again, I urge you to participate, and then once we get all the information, we'll present it to the board, we'll present it to the community, and we'll go from there. So thank you.
So clarify, where does the results go, to you, or who looks at the results?
The results will go to BJ. He's running the,
I know, and then where do they go?
oh,
I mean, who reviews
the
those results?
personnel committee would look at them first, and then the full board.
They get compiled into a summary.
Yeah.
And then
Personnel committee reviews it.
and then the full board reviews it.
Yeah, yeah. It's not just the personnel committee, really.
Would that
It-
be in an executive session?
Yes, yeah.
And the comments are very helpful, so if you're so willing, please feel free to add comments wherever you like them, because
Yep.
we do get the opportunity to read all of them, and last year we got quite a few.
Yeah. It's very helpful. And it is the responsibility of the board to evaluate the superintendent. That's one of our responsibilities, one of our three, I think.
The three big ones.
Yeah.
Policy, budget, and evaluating the
Evaluation. So it is important, and I think it's a much better evaluation than it has been in the past.
It's smoother.
Well, and Brian can remember the first one that we did about 10 years ago, because there never was one. Well, I can't say there never was one. There hadn't been one. So we've tweaked it a little bit each year. So, and the comments help us tweak them. So that's all I have to say.
Next meeting to be announced.
Yes.
Okay, now we move on to policy, which I am passing to Nick because I have missed a couple meetings.
So we haven't met in a couple of weeks. Our next meeting is June 11th at 5:30. If you're on the committee, or even if you want to come visit the committee, we will see you in this room on the 11th.
Or hybrid.
Or hybrid.
Okay, buildings and grounds.
Oh, that's me again. We haven't met since 4 weeks ago. Our next meeting is 6/24, and that'll probably be our last one of this school year. And we'll be in this room.
When was that, Nick? I'm sorry.
6/24 at 5 PM.
6/24, okay. Thank you.
Community engagement.
Our next meeting is July 17th at 6 o'clock, just prior to the regular board meeting.
Okay. Perfect. Negotiations.
We did have a brief meeting yesterday. Sorry, Josh isn't here, so I'll share that.
6/17 or 6/19?
Oh.
I thought she said 7/17.
Seven.
7. Okay.
Don't scare me.
I thought you said 17, and then all of a sudden the light bulb hit, and I was like, wait, that's not a good day.
Okay, negotiations.
Committee had a brief meeting yesterday, and we are continuing to work.
Okay. Do we have another meeting?
No meeting scheduled.
Yet. Okay.
Not of the committee.
Okay. Finance, are you okay with reading pay orders?
I will do pay orders. We had a finance meeting too, though.
And we have a chair.
We have a
Stephen
chair.
is our chair.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yay, Stephen!
Hi, yeah, thanks. So we had a meeting, a reorganization this week. And Brian, if you can jump in if I have to drop out here. I'd
Yeah,
appreciate that.
can do.
So I believe what I do now is read in payroll warrant.
Oh, I can do those, Stephen. Do you just want to give a little bit of a brief, what we talked about at our finance meeting?
Yeah, we did a reorganization. I was named chair for this year, and we talked a little bit about kind of the goals of finance. We are taking, at this point, a bit of a break until, I think, August or September for our next meeting.
I think we said September, actually.
Yeah.
September to start the, basically the next fiscal year budget cycle again.
All right.
What am I missing?
We did you saw the bids that we had for maintenance, those we discussed, and I think that was it, Stephen.
Right, yeah, the truck and the plow and the things we discussed in the
Yep. So I can jump in. I don't mind doing the pay orders.
Are you okay with that, Stephen?
Yes, I appreciate it.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so I'll do the special one first. We had one that was just kind of a last minute one, so if folks didn't see that come through today, this one is for scholarships. So I've got a account payable warrant dated 5/29 from the scholarship funds in the amount of $150. I also have student activities from Mill River in the amount of $400. So I would ask for a motion to approve that as read.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second that.
Any more discussion on it? All in favor?
Good.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, now I've got the regular accounts payable dated 5/29, general fund FY24 in the amount of $536,000, $730.94. Another from the general fund in the amount of $23,672.69. After-school program in the amount of $1,420.04. Lunch program in the amount of $54,800.73, totaling $616,624.40. Student activities Mill River in the amount of $9,758.08. Student activities Clarendon in the amount of $36. Student activities Shrewsbury in the amount of $426. Student activities Tinmouth in the amount of $305.04. As totaling from student activities $10,525.12. I'd ask for a motion to approve as read.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second. Any discussion? Questions? All in favor? Thank you.
Now I've got payroll. So dated 5/16/2024, the amount of $6,855.28, and another dated 5/24/2024, the amount of $609,346.40, totaling $616,201.68. Ask for a motion to approve as read.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Thank you, Greg. Any questions, discussion? All in favor? All right, we are good. Thank you very much.
Next
do we need
meeting to be determined.
Do we need to make that? We need a sign. Oh, no, never mind. Never mind.
Okay.
Whole different thought. Okay, so the next is ad hoc, and I know Josh is not here.
Yeah.
Let's push ad hoc update till next meeting. That
We did
haven't-
meet,
I thought you guys did.
we did meet on
Last week.
Thursday.
I'm gonna say, I can't tell you what day.
Thursday,
Thursday.
because it was
Yeah.
same day as finance, right?
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, so we did meet on Thursday. And we will have another meeting coming up.
Okay, so at next board meeting, we'll get a big update.
Sure.
So.
Yeah.
All right, so Transact other legal business? Yes.
I think it was fantastic that all of the teachers were here. Not saying it was for the reasons that you wanted to be here, whether you were virtual or in person. I just like having you here, so, thank you.
Can the public know, is there an event you're supporting or an issue? It's great you're all here.
We read a statement. We're here in the hopes that negotiations will continue.
Okay, agenda building. We have one on for next meeting.
Yeah, really, the big thing will be bylaws.
Yeah.
Typically, so that's going to be our June meeting. I wonder what things we maybe want to keep and what things we maybe want to push.
What do
So,
we usually have on it?
well, we would have a sports update. And I think something that would be reasonable as part of that sports update is checking in on that extra funding that we had this year and all the things that we did with that to expand elementary sports and to support our fields.
Yeah, we need that.
Well, my question is, do we want to do that end of June or do we want to do that end of July? I think we could do either. It sounds like we definitely want to do bylaws end of June. The other thing that I would do is I would give my big annual end of the year update on here's how things are going, looking at some test scores after we've wrapped up the year, looking at staff retention
Could we do that in
numbers.
July?
We can do that in July if the board would rather that in July, that's fine.
If we do the test scores and stuff in July?
Those would be the things we typically do in June. So sports, my presentation, but we've got bylaws on the table.
And
So
Sounds
what
like we need an executive session also, but that could be after, right?
on the 19th?
And then, well, to look at the results of the evaluation.
Oh,
If you'll look at them that quickly.
Yeah, what
I'm
about,
not sure we'll get to that.
What
that
about doing the
quickly.
bylaws in July?
Because personnel won't have had a meeting by then either.
Yes.
We could do bylaws in July.
We
If people
could,
want
but
to
I'm
do
worried
bylaws in July.
in July, we may be pushing too close to the August thing and how many,
Yeah.
there may be, July's a
Well,
hard
that'll be
month.
good. It'll be fresh in our brains when we get there in August, because we'll have reviewed them and then we can carry that over.
Well, I mean, we'll have, for our June meeting, I mean, we'll just do bylaws like.
Well, I'm just, if you
However long, but we'll-
if you typically do scores in sports, that seems like a good year-end round, you know, kind of summary of what's happened with the year, and I don't know, it seems to me that we could do the bylaws in July. That's not to confuse it, but it
July
sounds
meeting?
like
July meeting is,
The 7th.
we only have,
17th, right
right?
It's
after
the only
community
meeting, yeah.
engagement.
Yeah.
and we only have one in June, right?
yeah, because the graduation.
June 19, yeah. This is really our first June meeting.
Yeah.
Yeah. Even though it's May.
Yeah. Funny how that works.
I know, but.
What do we usually have for July? I will not be present at the July meeting.
Neither will I.
The July meeting, we have a really light agenda. Actually, July meeting is goal setting. So we have set a retreat to do goal setting. So we actually don't have to worry about much on that July 17 meeting. So we have three big
Community
things.
engagement,
Is July.
July 17th?
For it.
Okay.
I guess I'm just saying, I'm hearing that typically the June meeting is sports update, test scores or data discussion,
we can
end
do-
of year. So I don't see a reason to bump that for the bylaw discussion if we don't really have a lot in July.
I mean, we can do both of
Do
them.
bylaws. Maybe we can do both. I don't know.
And then do bylaw. And if we need to bylaw again in July, then we can.
You could probably do 2, but not 3 at your June meeting. So which 2 do folks want to do?
I would rather have the sports update and bylaws in July, have the test scores, and if we need to wrap up bylaws, then we wrap up bylaws, and then that way August, we're set and good for our goals. And I'm saying all of this because I will call the meeting from the beach in July.
Well,
I'm sure they do not have Wi-Fi.
At some point, we will have to, once the evaluation is wrapped up,
And then
we'll have
if
to
we
meet and
need to,
discuss that, but
Yes.
we can fit that in.
Yep. Before next school year.
Well, I think July would be a
July
good
would be
time.
good. Yeah.
We should be done by then. I think the June one is pushing it a little bit.
Yeah, I think so too.
Okay, so what do we want to do?
So June, we are going to do bylaws and sports update. July 17th meeting, we are going to do test scores. Wrap up, like account like 20 minutes for bylaws if we need to finish, and then whatever else we may need to do. And if we need,
That's also agenda building.
yes.
Okay,
And I'm trying to think of this while it's still fresh.
yep. Okay, cool. I think I got all that.
Okay, and then August 3rd is our goals, August's meetings. August will be back on our first and third Wednesdays
Okay.
for our meetings. We just get a little funky when it comes to summer.
So Len, you had held off on a personnel meeting.
Yes.
You now want to set a personnel meeting, now that we've got all that
In June.
down?
July, right,
July 17th.
is you.
Yeah,
Do June 19th.
there's nothing before the June 19 meeting.
No.
Yeah,
No, there's nothing. Do you want that one?
Let's do it at 6:30.
June 19,
Okay.
6:30?
Well, because I think all we'll really
Oh, a
have
short
is
one.
any new
Okay.
hires.
Okay.
Yep.
And if whatever we have in terms of the evaluation, we can talk
Okay.
about that.
Okay, 6:30.
So we'll say at 6:30,
Okay.
June 19th.
Yep. All right. Good. Do we need an executive session?
Yes,
You got the verbiage?
yes.
You do?
Yeah.
Okay.
I would like to make a motion that we enter into executive session or contracts that premature general public knowledge would clearly place the board or persons involved at a substantial disadvantage.
Well done.
Good job.
I'll second
I
that.
can read.
I know it's written on the paper now. Thank you. All right, next second. Do we have a discussion?
All those in
All
favor?
Yeah.
Okay. Then I make a motion that we enter into executive session at 8:40.
We need to move.
Yeah, we'll move.
Oh, okay.
We can do that. And then,
Yeah, and I'm gonna I'm going to send a link to our virtual
Yes.
board members so that you can join.
And then, since we probably won't be taking any action in the executive session, we will, when we come out of executive session, we will adjourn.
Yes. But
Did I
just to
say
let
that
y'all-
all right?
Yes.
Just
I
three
think we
on
need
one.
a second, though.
I think we
No.
got it.
We got it.
Okay.
Did you do
No,
the
it's
second
good.
motion to enter into?
Yes, I did.
Yes.
Just checking.
I don't know if we got a second.
Okay.
Yes, we did.
Nick,
It was
okay.
it.
All those